You're listening to the Headspace podcast. This episode is entitled Dealing with a Relationship Breakup. If you or anyone you know is affected by the topics discussed in this podcast, more information and support is available. You can visit eHeadspace online or over the phone on 1-800-650-890 or find your nearest Headspace centre via headspace.org.au. Hi everyone, I'm Crystal, a clinician, and in this episode we'll be focusing on how to cope after a relationship breakup. This chat has been taken from one of our eHeadspace group chats and includes contributions from myself and other clinicians as well as young people. They'll put their questions to the team and we'll endeavour to answer and help where we can. We'll also be joined by members of the Headspace Youth National Reference Group for this podcast. We'll introduce ourselves before we speak so you know who's contributing.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm also a clinician. This is a pretty big topic, and relationships break up for lots of reasons. Often it's no one's fault and nobody is to blame. Instead, things just aren't working out. Whether you did the breaking up or you're the one who was broken up with, it can bring a range of difficult feelings such as denial, sadness, guilt, anger, or fear. It's normal to experience these feelings, and it can take time to get over the loss of a relationship. You might also find yourself in situations where you don't know how to break up with someone. You don't know what to do when your ex moves on or when to start a new relationship.
Hi guys, I'm Brooke, I'm 18. I had a recent breakup and it really triggered back my old problems with depression. Like many other people, I'm really struggling with the idea that I'm going to be alone forever. Intellectually, I can reason that this will most likely not be the case, but I don't know how to emotionally deal with that thought. I would love to hear if you have any suggestions on ways to cope with this. Thanks so much.
Hi Brooke, it's super common for breakups to trigger low mood and feelings of low self-worth. Being able to recognise that's happened in the first place is a huge strength. It's important to practice reminding yourself over and over things like, I've met a partner before so I can do it again, and right now I'll focus on enjoying all the things I get to do while I'm single. It takes a lot of practice to override all those negative thoughts about ourselves after a breakup, but it can be done. Remember, if you're still struggling after a little while though, it might be a signal to go back to your mental health professional for a bit of a booster session just to get you through the breakup.
Hey, I'm Simon and I'm 22. My housemate and good mate recently broke up with his partner and he took it pretty hard. I've been talking to and listening to him about it all for a few days now and keeping his mind off it by taking him out as much as possible. Is there anything else I can and should be doing to help a mate through this time?
Hi Simon, thanks for the question. It sounds like you've been a great friend so far. Honestly, what you've been doing so far sounds totally appropriate and helpful. If you can stick by your mate and try to continue distracting him with helpful things, that's fantastic. Obviously, if it's a fresh breakup, then he's probably going to need a bit more time to process it before he really starts to move on. So if you continue sticking by him and listening as needed, then that's awesome. If you notice he's getting really down about talking about it, it's certainly possible to focus on it and talk about it too much. Then taking him out or doing something you both enjoy are perfect options. Also, if it's becoming a bit much for you to hear all the time, it's okay to share the load and suggest he chats with other mates to get extra support and some different perspectives. However, in terms of what to do, try to think of healthy and helpful stuff. Sometimes drinking alcohol or using other substances can seem like a good idea post-breakup, but in reality it's best to try limit use as it can really enhance emotional distress. Keep up the good work. Your friend is lucky to have your support.
I've also felt this way and had friends who felt the same, and I found it helpful to focus on the other people in my life.
Yeah, that's a great point. Focusing on other important people in your life, like family and friends, is super important when you are feeling lost in the I'm all alone thoughts.
Hi, my name's Genevieve, I'm 24. I'm worried about how to handle my ex-partner moving on to a new partner. I'm concerned I won't be able to deal with this as the breakup was not mutual and I'm still very much in love with him. Any tips on how to deal with this when it inevitably happens?
Hey Genevieve, thanks so much for your question and sorry to hear about your breakup. They're so tough. It's totally understandable to be worried about your ex moving on. It can be a very difficult thing to think about, especially if you're still in love with him. So be kind to yourself and remember that you're only human and it's totally normal to worry about this. It's sometimes good to remember that when and if your ex is with someone else, it doesn't mean that they've forgotten about you. It doesn't take away from the special memories you shared together. They will always be there. But if your ex has made the decision to break up, it's best for you that you're not together. You don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to stay with you. You're worth more than that. Each time you think about your ex and someone else, bring all the attention back to you. Do something nice for yourself. Think about what you need that day, and try to remember that no relationship is perfect. Try to keep both the good and not so good in mind.
Hey, Caitlin here, a Headspace Youth National Reference Group member. Something that really got me through something similar was to stop fighting my thoughts and feelings, just accepting the fact that yes, right now I'm in love with this person, but I won't be forever, and I'll be okay. And trying to focus on other things in my life when possible. Keep busy and try not to dwell, which is easier said than done, but also don't deny or devalue the feelings that you have.
I agree totally. Accepting rather than fighting the feeling is often the way to go. After all, you love this person and there is no off switch for that. However, it's when you stop focusing so much on fighting the feeling that it will eventually fade away with time.
I just broke up with my boyfriend, but I'm feeling so confused as to whether I made the right decision. Things weren't right between us, but I'm unsure if it was the circumstances, he was going through some family issues of his own, or if we were just not that compatible. To make matters worse, he is continually contacting me, saying that he has changed and he wants to get back together. What should I do? I'm so confused.
When it comes to ex-boyfriends, often everyone has an opinion. It's important that you focus on what's best for you, not what others think. Like someone mentioned just now, asking for some time to think can be really helpful to get clarity. It can be exhausting constantly being dragged in and out of someone's life, making it hard to sort out what you really want.
It can often be hard to keep up the practice of challenging our thoughts. Even as counsellors, we need to keep reminding ourselves to challenge our unhelpful thoughts too. And none of us are ever perfect at it all the time. Some negative thoughts will always sneak in sometimes. It's really about overall patterns of thinking though. The more we practice, the easier it becomes, like anything, and our patterns and habits of thinking start to change. So keep up the good work. It's lifetime practice.
Thanks for the feedback. I'm really struggling at the moment with the whole self-criticism stuff, but I'll try my best to be nicer to myself. Sounds so simple, but in reality it's extremely hard.
So true. Always easier said than done. I always ask myself what I would say to a friend if they were in my position, as often I'll be much nicer to them than me.
After a breakup, people tend to go through so many mixed emotions due to grieving the loss and trying to work out how to keep going now things have changed so much. Confusion is a really normal part of any grief and loss situation. It may become a bit clearer with time and perspective. Also, remember that if it's really getting you down and anxious after a while, seek some help from a professional.
I'm actually in psychology myself, so I can definitely relate. I suppose I just got to keep on at it. The best thing that I am finding so far is to imagine what I would say to myself if I was a student or client or friend. I think that's usually the one thing that can ground me at least a little bit before I fall into a spiral of thinking, oh my god, I am the worst human.
That can apply to anyone too. Talking to a professional can be really good, as you can really just focus on you and what you need. Whereas with a friend, you will take their needs, etc. into account too. And when you're feeling bad about yourself, you often forget about what you need altogether. I guarantee a good friend would not ask you to do this, but that won't stop negative self-talk saying our problems aren't worth a friend's time.
What are some things that I could do to help when I'm feeling sad? Sometimes I just find myself thinking endlessly about my ex, and I just don't know what to do at those times.
Thanks for your question. It's pretty easy to get all caught up in our thoughts, and when we do, our feelings of sadness can intensify. In the short term, I really recommend that you consider getting all sweaty Betty. When we go through times of high stress, our cortisol levels rise, and that never feels nice. Exercise is one of the best ways to take the fire out of the cortisol. So pump your favorite tunes through your iPod, get your gym gear on, and start pounding the pavement, or the yoga mat, or basketball court, or dance floor. Do whatever feels good to you, just make sure you do something. It's good to keep in mind that when we feel sad, our motivation can drop. We can come up with thousands of excuses not to get off the couch. So try to ignore those excuses and remember you'll almost always feel better afterwards.
I'm sorry to hear that you've been feeling pretty sad and down. Breaking up with a person tends to trigger those really strong emotions and it can be so hard to know how to deal with them. When we're feeling sad, we usually have sad thoughts, and the more we listen to those thoughts, the sadder we feel. Being stuck in this place can feel really awful. Everyone goes through these emotions during a breakup, and it might not feel like it right now, but they will pass. It can help to practice a kind of acceptance of all the emotions and let them come and go like waves. Know that there will be a time when the sadness is really full on, and other times when it fades into the background. This is a normal part of processing the loss. Try and keep up regular routines to give yourself a break from the thoughts, and reach out for support from friends.
Don't underestimate how much these things can knock you or trivialize your feelings. Anything to break the cycle can be good, whether it's exercise or a cold shower or a phone call to someone. Anything that gets you out of your head. Talking can be better than thinking endlessly in circles, or if you don't feel like talking, writing can help too.
I have been seeing someone for about 18 months and I'm just not that into them anymore. How do I tell them without coming off as the bad guy? I know I shouldn't just text them, but it does seem like the easiest thing to do.
This is a very good question. I'm sure a lot of people relate to being in the position of falling out of love and feeling as though they no longer want to be with their boyfriend or girlfriend anymore. People often feel really guilty when this happens, like the bad guy, as you said. However, it's important to remember that it's totally normal for feelings to fade over time. People grow apart, that's the reality. However, if you end an 18-month relationship over text, you may qualify for bad guy status. Even though it's awkward, sad, and stressful, you owe it to your partner to have an open and honest conversation about how you feel. This way you can walk away with your head held high, knowing that you acted in a kind and respectful way to someone who has obviously been very special to you. But good luck.
Your partner will absolutely appreciate that you've decided to be courageous and speak to them in person. My last relationship ended over the phone, and I couldn't believe how cowardly he was being after we'd been together for so long. It's tough, but it's better for both of you to do it in person. It gives them the opportunity to really hear what you have to say and ask any questions they may want to.
If you're breaking up with someone because your interests have changed or you've grown apart, try and be considerate in ending the relationship. Think about how you'd want the other person to act towards you in the same situation. Be honest, tell the person what has changed and why. Be kind. There's no need to be nasty. The person will hurt already. But not soft. Don't get talked into going back with the person just to say his or her feelings. Don't get into blaming each other. Time it right. Like, don't tell the person just as they're going through huge dramas, such as exams or family problems. Continue to treat the other person with respect, even after the relationship ends, because you may end up remaining friends, and be prepared for the person to feel hurt. No matter how considerate you are, they will still feel hurt. You might feel sad that it's ended too.
How soon is too soon to move on?
Same. I know there is no definitive answer for this, but when should I start putting myself out there to be with other people? Or how will I know when I'm ready? Sometimes I think it would be really great for me to go and be with other people, and other times I am uncertain if I'm ready yet.
You both asking the same question shows how common it is to worry about. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in guilt and confusion over whether we think we've moved on from someone too fast, or whether we think we should have moved on from someone by now, but haven't. I guess the short answer is that it's different for everyone. It also depends on how long you were with the person, what the breakup was like, and all sorts of other things. It's important to not pay attention to other people's perceptions about when it's right or not right for you to move on. Stay true to what you sense you need yourself, whether that's a healthy rebound relationship straight away, or whether you need time alone to grieve and find yourself. It's up to you.
It's all about what's healthy for you and what moving on means to you. For some people, it's when you're ready to date again. For some people, dating is part of the moving on process, and for some people, moving on is just being able to go about your life again without all those feelings a breakup can leave you with. Don't let anyone tell you what moving on is supposed to be or how long it should take.
It may not feel comfortable to put yourself out there for a while, and that's okay. It's a good idea to go with where you're up to, and if you're not sure, test it out by going out with some friends and see how you feel about the dating scene again.
Mine is the opposite. I really like a girl who recently went through a breakup, and I think she's into me too, but I don't want to pressure her. It's hard.
That's a tricky situation to be in for sure. On the one hand, you really want to seize the opportunity to be together, and on the other, you kind of see that maybe she will need a bit of space and time to process her past relationship. It's awesome that you have that ability to recognize that maybe taking things slow is the best approach. If you guys both like each other, then what's the rush? Take your time getting to know each other and give her some space to move on from her last relationship. I know it's a hard thing to do, but it's going to improve the chances of you having a fresh start when you're both in the right headspace to kick off a new relationship.
Hey, I'm currently in a happy, healthy relationship that started from that exact situation. Just be what she needs. Even if she likes you, she might be hesitant to start something new, especially if she's still working through some things. This might take some time, so be patient and remember that being a friend doesn't mean you'll get sidelined or friend-zoned.
Try talking to her. It can be really nice for her to know that her opinions and feelings are something you're interested in.
I've just separated from my boyfriend of 7.5 years, who I found out was cheating on me with numerous other girls, one of which I knew personally, and it's been both physical and emotional in nature. He continued to lie to me about everything right up until the moment we broke up. and even now, afterwards, he will not give me the truth and continues to lie about his behaviour to me. I'm finding it really hard to cope and not confront any of the parties involved. I know that will not help in any way and may backfire on me big time. I'm just so devastated that people can willingly do this to others when they know they're in relationships. My friends have suggested that I cut him off, but I'm finding it hard to do that when this is someone I've spoken to every day for the last 7 years of my life. I'm feeling very lost and have so many questions that I know will never be answered. Ugh.
Hey, I'm really sorry to hear about what you're going through. It must be so tough. No wonder you're feeling lost. Your world has just taken a pretty big turn, so just take it one step at a time. Do things hour by hour if you have to. Of course you want answers, but try to remind yourself that the most important thing right now is taking care of yourself. So get busy doing that instead. Go for a walk, write down your thoughts, see your mates, that sort of thing. It must hurt so much to be lied to. Your trust will take time to rebuild, so be careful not to rush this. You've described some behaviours that are manipulative and are signs of unhealthy relationships. So in a way, it's a very good thing that you're no longer with this guy. Try to keep that in mind.
No one deserves to be treated that way. I'm so sorry you've been put through so much by people who should have been supporting you. Space can be crucial to getting perspective and starting to recover, but cutting someone off completely can feel as though there's a huge hole in your life. When you really feel the urge to message him, try writing the message, waiting for an hour, 2 hours, a day, however long you think is reasonable, then read it again and ask yourself, what will you gain from sending this? Will he be able to give you what you need? If you can't trust him anymore, nothing he says will feel like closure or comfort anyway, and may leave you feeling worse.
The situation you're going through is so hard. I'd have to agree with as little contact as possible at this time. If he's been lying for so long, and is continuing to do so, it's unlikely to be healthy for your recovery, or for you to get any perspective.
Thank you. What is your opinion on saying something to the other parties involved? This is what I'm struggling with the most. I know it won't lead anywhere and may reveal even more. I just feel like I've already lost everything and I don't think anything else could hurt me. I'm not someone who can sit by and let this go on. I've always stood up for what I believe in, and that's a real challenge right now. I'm aware of writing things down in a letter as if I was going to give it to them. I'm just not sure that's enough, as I really want to just say I know everything and you're ruining so many lives here.
That's a tough question. No wonder you're grappling with it. I guess there are pros and cons to both. If you speak to the other parties, it might help to give you a bit of closure and stand up for what you believe in. I can hear that doing the wrong thing does not sit well with you, so it's what you feel comfortable with in that regard. I reckon writing letters to everyone is an awesome idea anyway. Writing can help us to process our thoughts and feelings and make a bit more space in our heads. You would understandably be feeling a lot of anger right now, so give yourself permission to let the paper hold a bit of that anger for you for a while. It's just up to you whether you send them. I reckon that going to speak with a counsellor about it could be a good step. You don't have to go through it on your own, and there's heaps of help out there. Your GP or headspace.org.au can be a good starting point.
Sometimes I lie to my partner to hide where I've been. I'm not cheating or anything, but sometimes I feel like he doesn't trust me. I'm not sure how to end it with him, because he always tells me we will be together forever, but I don't know if I want to be with him forever.
It sounds like you may be a little unsure about your relationship and whether or not you really want to be together forever. In all honesty, that's pretty normal. The idea of being in a long-term committed relationship with one person for the rest of your life is a pretty big deal and not something to take lightly. However, given that you're feeling really unsure and have gotten to the point that you're lying about where you've been, you may want to have a serious think about whether you really want to be in the relationship. Trust is one of the key ingredients in a healthy relationship, and it's something that needs to be worked on by both people. If you feel it's lacking and you're not keen on trying to build that trust in partnership with your partner, then that's a sign that right now you don't want to be with him for the rest of your life. Finally, I want to point out that telling white lies in order to protect people's feelings is a pretty common thing. But if you're lying to your partner because you feel uncomfortable with him knowing where you are, or if you think he may be unhappy if he knew, then it could be a sign that your relationship isn't super healthy. If you're afraid or fearful of being honest with him, then that's a really important sign that things aren't right. Everyone has the right to feel safe in their relationship.
I'm over feeling so hurt and betrayed. I just want it all to stop right now, but it doesn't seem to.
Breakups can do that to us. The thing with feelings is that they all pass, but all feelings are like a wave. They build, reach a peak, and then eventually they do die down. We just often forget that last part. Good luck.
The future is unknown and we can't predict when our feelings may change.
What is so clear is that wave approach just mentioned. Try and find a few things that help get you through the intense part of the wave and get really practical for these times. Get outside, do exercise, punch a punching bag, or go to a friend's house. If you're struggling to get some ideas of how to get through the intense times, please do try and seek support through a professional. They can be really helpful in providing some hope.
It sounds really stupid, but I feel like I'm stuck in a relationship. I've only been broken up with, not being the person to end a relationship myself, so I don't know how to go about it.
Breaking up with someone for the first time can be pretty confronting, especially when you care for the person and you don't want to hurt them. It's important to be honest and open and respectful, but at the same time, be firm about needing to end it. Remember that sometimes holding on to a relationship when it's not working can be just as bad as breaking up. Even though the breakup stings in the first place, you're giving the other person a chance to move on and eventually find someone who really wants to be with them. Remember as well that as long as you've done the breaking up in a kind, respectful way, then you've done all you can.
I've been talking to my best friend's boyfriend and I really like him. He says he'll break up with my best friend, but I'm not sure if I can start dating him after that. My other friends say my best friend wouldn't be my friend if I did that.
This is obviously tricky, and there is no right or wrong way to move forward. However, if I were you, I'd be asking myself some questions like, how would I feel if I was in her shoes and she started dating my boyfriend? How is she likely to react? How important is my existing friendship versus the possibility of a new relationship? I also think it's important to remember that it's normal to feel attracted to different people. I'm sure there will be many others that float your boat in the future too. Just because you have these feelings, however, doesn't necessarily equal I need to date you, particularly when there are best friends at stake. Good luck.
If you tried to break up with someone but they don't listen, what do you do? I feel stuck and my partner doesn't listen when I say I don't want to be with them anymore.
That's a really tough and uncomfortable situation for you to be in. Sometimes when a breakup is really fresh, people can be in a state of shock or denial and believe that this is just a bump that you'll get through together. This can be normal if the relationship has had lots of breakups and makeups. However, if you have tried to break up with your partner very clearly and they're simply not listening, despite you stating over and over that it's really over, then this could be a form of control which is actually abusive and not okay. With that in mind, do you have any fears for your own safety or how your partner may react?
I don't know. I feel like he thinks there isn't an option for him if we break up for real, so he might not react well.
Okay, thanks for letting us know. If your partner has ever said anything about not being able to live without you, or that he may hurt himself without you, this is actually a form of emotional abuse. He may feel bad, but you are not responsible for his actions or behaviour. That's his responsibility, which can be super tough, especially if you're being made to feel responsible. I'd recommend having a chat with trusted family and friends. Let them know your concerns and how hard it is for you to break up with your partner. It's important that you have support while you go through this hard time, and that others are also aware. I hope you found all these sessions helpful today. Relationships are such a significant part of our lives, and when they end, you might feel a range of big emotions. It can be tricky to work out how to get through the breakup phase, even if you did the breaking up.
Like we've said, it's important to be patient and kind to yourself during that time. It can be really helpful to seek support to figure out how best to handle things if the strategies here aren't helpful, or if you're still feeling really fragile after some time, whether it's from supportive friends and family or from a counsellor or mental health professional.